Tunisia, and the world has left 27 Britons dead, with that number expected to rise as the formal identification process continues. The shockwaves of the attack continue to be felt as Britain and other nations affected come to terms with the reality of how and why the attack took place. I'm now joined on the phone by Consumer Director at Holiday Travel Watch, Frank Breheny, to discuss the impact that terror attacks have on tourism. So how did airlines and travel operators react to the attack? Do you think their response was swift enough?
Well, in the first instance, you can see that within a matter of hours, the Foreign Office were giving specific advices to those within the resort, and also there was an announcement from airlines that they were going to send aircraft out to ferry people back to the United Kingdom. So in the first instance, I think that the response was timely and appropriate. The real issue, however, was how they responded to intending holidaymakers, and I think that is where the difficulty lies.
So what does the attack mean for tourists then?
It comes down to the heart. If you look at it this way, tourism is really the ultimate expression of friendship and trade. And, holidaymakers only see what's in the brochure. They trust companies and governments to give them the right advices. And holidaymakers are the economic foot soldiers. And when something like this happens, we're just ordinary people. We have fears for our family, our children, to be brought into areas like this. But I think the ultimate issue is that travel companies are going to have to think very hard about how they market and sell holidays to destinations like this.
So you say that there needs to be a radical rethink in how destinations are chosen and how holidays are sold to consumers. So in what way and why?
Well, if you take, for example, if you buy a holiday, say, to the Dominican Republic or Spain or Italy or France, they have their own particular problems. This particular region, Egypt, Tunisia, and so on, this region is embroiled in conflict and humanitarian crises and all sorts of activity that we've been noting in recent months. And in fact, there's a good article in The Independent today which sets out some of the think tanks in Tunis, what they're saying about this kind of destination. So if it has that kind of risk, whatever about trying to help the good people of Tunisia, we really do have to think about the nature of where holidays are sold to destinations like this, what the impact is on the consumer, what kind of security is in place. I'm not talking about completely banning travel. On the contrary, I wouldn't want to hurt the people of Tunisia. But at the same time, we need to be a little bit more open and honest about some of these destinations.
And how do you think it will affect tourism then in these destinations, including Tunisia?
Well, I think it's going to have a profound effect. In fact, I've already seen reports this morning talking about the complete absence of anybody on the beaches at all. And I think that's understandable. And if we take a leaf out of the book on Egypt, and believe me, Egypt has its own problems. There was a bomb attack just over a week ago in Luxor and activity on the Sinai Peninsula. It has taken quite a few years, since 2010-11, for Egypt to even recapture some semblance of tourism back into its country. Tunisia is going to find exactly the same. That's why there's a rethink that needs to be carried out, not just by the travel companies, but also by the UK government or any foreign governments, foreign offices, about the way that foreign travel advices are constructed.
Aren't we quite a resilient nation, though? Don't you think after a while this will soon pass and they'll continue travelling to these destinations? Or do you think it's going to have a longer-term effect?
I think consumers are a pretty tough bunch, quite stoical. You can see that in the fact that some people say, come what may, whatever the horrors on the beach in Sousse, I'm going to stick on the beach because I don't want these individuals to feel that they've won. But stoicism is a wonderful luxury that we can all have after the event. What is needed is a real dose of common sense by tour operators and government. And I think, sadly, because innocence has been lost in the sands of Sousse, I think consumers need to question very carefully about their decisions and destinations that they choose, and before they book, they need to carry out the kind of research. It's okay for me. I'm not an ordinary consumer. I know where to find a lot of this stuff. Consumers need to be a little bit more broader than what they see in the brochures, or indeed what they see on the foreign travel advices from the Foreign Office.
Thank you very much. I've been speaking to Consumer Director at Holiday Travel Watch, Frank Breheny.